What is going on? I want to welcome you from FCore for today, Tuesday, August 9th. I am your host, Sean Murphy, alongside my duo, my guy, Jeff Ifrady. Jeff, how's it going today, brother?
Oh, it's going, Sean. Just counting down the days till the season starts, like we do. We talk about every pre-show. Every time we film one of these videos, it's like, how many more days to the season? All right,
Dude, it's
we'll
like,
keep knocking on the door.
it's always like you're kind of waiting for the season to start. And then, like, each day that you're waiting, you're just kind of anticipating the next stupid article to come out that's going to,
That's it,
like,
right
kind of
there.
boggle your mind. And we found it. We found the one of the dumber articles to come out this NBA offseason, Jeff. And today, that's what we're here to talk about, because there was an article that went on Clickbait Supreme, aka Bleacher Report, and
They got us.
these guys came out with the most exciting young NBA prospects at every position. And this initially started with just the list that I saw on Twitter. And I saw the list on Twitter and I was like, all right, this is kind of dumb, but whatever. But then you get into the article, Jeff, and oh boy, this is just, this is something. So, so at the beginning of the article, it gives the disclaimer of what exactly it's about. And it says here that the following 10 players, two at each position, elicit that excitement better than anyone in their age group, defined for our purposes as 22 or younger as of October 1st. So these are people that are solely off of with statistical domination, viral highlights, and unique skills. And then we get down to the point guard list. And my confusion is why Cade wasn't on this list. My initial confusion was, okay, why is Cade not on the point guard list? And then I go down, and it's because he's listed as an honorable mention on the shooting guard list. And he's listed under Jalen Green, and perhaps more confusing to me, Tyrese Maxey. Now, that's just leaving out the fact that this article says that it's about statistical domination, and Cade literally had statistically one of the most dominant rookie seasons since Michael Jordan. But in addition, Tyrese Maxey, the number one most exciting young shooting guard in the league? I mean, Jeff, what am I missing?
No, it's bad. And I gotta listen. The author Zach Buckley, and I get, and you asked me this question before we started filming. Is like, isn't excitement subjective? And I agree with that completely, because that's the first thing I saw when I read this list and I read his reasoning behind it. It's like, this is who Zach Buckley thinks is the most exciting young players in the NBA, not us. Because if you look
Right.
at the ranking, and this is his reasoning, and he kind of outed himself and explained himself in the article. He says, first, this ranking is about excitement, not just talent. Second, if that was the debate, Jalen Green wouldn't be buried in it. You can ultimately side with a player like Cade Cunningham or Tyler Hero, but you'd have to at least acknowledge the spectacular nature of Green's post-All-Star surge, 22.1 points on 47, 38, and 75 percentage splits. This is my issue with it. Number one, Maxey's is ranked first, which, listen, the guy had a breakout season. Maxey's a very good young player, but I would take Jalen Green and Cade right now over him. Number two, I
I
would
would
even
do it
make an
without
argument.
blinking. Like I didn't
I
even
would
know that was like a conversation we were having.
no, apparently to Zach Buckley it is. And number two, a guy like Cade, like for me, when I think of excitement, I think of good, talented players. That's excitement. Like I don't know how Zach Buckley defines it, but in terms of this is more than Cade though. I mean, we can make an argument for Cade, but there's a lot of questionable mentions on this list as well. Like you mentioned, even the big men. They have Sengun
Yeah, so
as a
here's an even weirder one. So Isaiah Stewart is actually an honorable mention on this list. So glad to see him get some love on
yeah.
this on this dog list. But they have at number
James
two
Wiseman.
James Wiseman, which makes sense. He was a number two overall pick in the NBA draft a couple of years ago. I'd say that's a fair place for him to be. but they have Alperen Sengun at number one.
Sangoon.
And here's the thing, man. I get that Sengun might be exciting in a certain sense, but the guy did what during his rookie year? Like I get that like he's this exciting talent. I get that
Right.
like he has this, impressive background, but it almost just seems to me like this Sengun hype and this Sengun wave is just really deriving off of hype from his summer league performance like a year ago. I feel like that's one of those guys still riding off. And like, he's had some flashy plays. He's had some moments in his rookie years. You look at his stats per 36 minutes, I guess, but like the moment you're like, "Oh, well, it's hard not to look at the resemblance of his stats from his rookie year to Jokic's rookie year stats." It's like, yeah, that means that they're going to have the exact same trajectory. That is exactly what that means.
And also when you put the reasoning as, most excited, the most skilled, the most unique, it has the most skill set. That's your, parameters you're setting. How is Sangoon in this list?
Right.
Like, is this guy a highlight machine? Last time I checked, especially if you use Jalen Green being on this list, and I got to take a shot at Jalen Green. Listen, the guy's talented. But if you bring up his post All-Star numbers, are we just going to throw Cade's post All-Star numbers into the trash or what? Like, if we're talking about the article literally says,
if we're
right
talking
here,
about exciting post All-Star game numbers, they're literally leaving out the rookie that had the best post All-Star performance.
And more than that, one of the parameters, statistical domination. Okay, so who would you trust to fill the stat sheet more, Cade or Jalen Green? Please. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, and I'm getting too heated off a guy named Zach Buckley's list, but this is something we had to call out because it's not about not choosing Cade. It's about the consistency in this list. Like he set the parameters, but then he picked guys that I don't agree fit into those parameters. And to have Green behind Tyrese Maxey, even though he's younger and I think better, will be better, I don't get it. I really don't.
Normally, I try to not fall into the hype of, oh, well, this is like one of those like Detroit versus everybody cases where this is just people not understanding what's going on in Detroit. But like, I think this is just one of those cases where people just don't really understand what's going on in Detroit. And like, I think, it's easier to see and notice what Jalen Green is doing because, I mean, maybe from the who's the player that you're going to guarantee get a highlight out of. If that's the list and if that's the particular ranking that we're looking at, then sure, I'd be willing to maybe have that kind of conversation. If this is solely off of who are the guys that are going to get me highlights and he's stuck with that parameter and that parameter alone.
Right.
Fine. But it's the fact that he went on and it's the fact that he chose to, go with all those. It just shows that people didn't pay attention. But in addition, I think for one, I think by this time next year, I think you're going to see Cade on this list. I think you're going to see Jaden Ivey very much on this list or in contention to be on this list because one of the parameters is that they can't be a rookie. Well, Jaden Ivey's a rookie. So definitely one of the reasons why he's not an honorable mention for sure. But in addition, the Pistons aren't looking to build the most exciting team. They're looking to build a contender. They're looking to build a championship team, a winning team. And when you look at all these guys that the Pistons have on their roster and you look at what Cade is and how he plays basketball, yeah, it might not always be the sexiest game. It might not always be the flashiest game. But you know what Cade's game's going to lead to? Wins. And you know what generates excitement? Wins. You know what's the thing that a lot of these guys haven't gotten throughout their careers yet? Or you know what's the thing that this Charlotte franchise is going to be lacking by number one most exciting point guard, LaMelo Ball? Wins. Like, that's just the way it is. So I also just think that when we look solely at what people do in the highlights and we're only looking at YouTube highlight reels of players, I think the way that we're consuming the game in that sense is taking away from so much of how we actually analyze basketball and how we actually
Mhm.
look at how these players are.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if we're just minimizing who these guys are based off of 2-minute YouTube reels, sure. But I don't get it, man.
No, if you're a basketball purist, like we love the game, if you turn on any game this season of Cade Cunningham and watch him play, you could even sit through and watch highlights. That's an exciting player to me, and I'm just using Cade as an example. It doesn't mean
Right.
other guys aren't excited, but that again, like you said, it's subjective. Like that's why I'm not pissed that Cade Cunningham isn't on this list. I understand the parameters he was going to set, but to me, I just disagree with it.
Right.
To me, I love good basketball players. That's
Well,
excitement to me, and a guy
well,
that can
even
win
then,
games.
in what world? And I'm sorry, maybe this is just me missing out, but in what world is the common NBA world more excited about Keldon Johnson than Jonathan Kuminga?
Yeah, I don't. I really don't understand. And Keldon
Well,
Johnson's a good player too, but
yeah, Keldon Johnson's
it's
a
just there's a
bucket,
lot of
and like,
confusion on this list.
well, and again, it speaks to the truth of kind of like that sentiment because we're talking about how he's minimalizing the game. He's literally showing what these guys are doing per 36 minutes. First of all, no basketball game is conducted per 36 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these guys aren't playing 36 minutes in a game. So 36 minutes, it's the per 36 minute stat record is unbelievably flawed.
Yeah,
Unbelievably flawed.
I would have put Evan Mobley over Sengun. Like Evan Mobley to me, for that's a great example. He's more exciting to watch and to project than Sengun. I mean, you could even argue maybe
Well,
even
yeah,
more
how the
so than
hell's
James
Evan
Eisner.
Mobley not on this list?
That's my issue though, Sean,
What
too.
the hell?
I don't it has nothing to do necessarily with Cade, but I'm using Cade as an example because that's an exciting basketball
Well,
player. I get
I
why Jalen
guess
Green's on there, but
yeah. Well, I guess
I don't get it.
okay, and even then, it gets to like they're listening, like they're like even bending the positions. All right, this whole article's freaking dumb. Let's talk about what. Let's talk about excitement. Let's go through and Jeff, maybe let's counter with our list. Let's go through and maybe say like who's the guards that excite you most in the league, right? So in the point guard list specifically, he has number one LaMelo Ball, number two Darius Garland. I am actually okay with it with the
Yeah,
players that he
me
has
too.
listed at positions. With this one alone, just off of the excitement and like their potential, I think LaMelo Ball is probably the point guard with the most potential as far as young guys in the league. Agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah. The guy can ball. Now, if Cade's being listed as a shooting guard, personally, I'm going Cade one, and this isn't even me being biased. This is just if I'm who's the most exciting, who I believe can be a superstar. I'm going Cade one, I'm going Jalen Green two, and
Mm-hmm.
Tyrese Maxey's not on the list. I think Tyrese Maxey's going to be a solid player, but
Yep.
I think his arc largely depends on what this 76ers team does over the course of the next couple of years. And his development is always going to be secondary to that team winning games. So to me, that's just something about him that I have concern in the back of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree
And then
with that ranking?
yes, I would. Those the point guard and the two guard. It's really just you're nitpicking because I like a majority of who the guys he selected, but understanding his parameters, yes, I agree with you. Those
And
four guys, I'm cool with.
And then small forward, I'm going to go Anthony Edwards one, and then
Yep.
I'm going to replace Kaminga with Johnson solely off the fact that he's on the Warriors. He's going to have more of a role this upcoming season, even though he might be a less known guy. Listen, man, I mean, this is just semantics. The small forward position doesn't really have much. Power forwards, personally, I mean, I guess I mean he has Zion on here. To me,
Which
Zion's
that's
been around so
yeah.
long that like, I don't even like it's hard for me to even picture him a young guy. But I mean, personally, if I'm going big men, I'm throwing Evan Mobley
Me
one
too.
at the big right there. I'm throwing Jonathan Kuminga on the second, and I'm not even worrying about Şengün on this list. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Like Evan Mobley can do so much. You can throw the semantics of what his position is, but truly, like the way that he plays, he's the modern big. He's a like him and Allen both play that big role for that team. it's kind of crazy what they can do for that team on the defensive end. But overall, I think for one, it just shows the way that we're ranking and looking at young prospects. You have to be careful. You have to look at the things, but also we got to stop just solely looking at highlights, man. My
It's a
goodness.
problem. And I gotta say this too before we end the video. I tweeted this out, and the more I looked at this list and I broke it down player by player, and this isn't even being biased, I would take Cade over all these guys. I mean, truthfully, and that's my opinion, but
Yeah.
that's how I felt looking at this list. Like, I'm not just trying to crap on the list; they're ranking the most exciting players. But that, to your point earlier, excitement, talented basketball players. I'll take Cade Cunningham over everybody.
Yeah. And another thing, I think they're just sleeping on how good he's going to be this year. So these lists keep coming out. It's like, all right, just you wait. Just you wait. So with that, what do you think of this list? Let us know in the comments section down below. We're just sitting over here trying to even understand what we're looking at personally. But with that, thank you all so much for tuning in. We will catch you guys next time from Half Court. Be sure to subscribe.